So my name is Nabila Khair. I'm also a humanitarian. I deal mostly with the new converted Muslims in Mexico, but it was a pleasure for me to be here at the Shia Sunni Muslim conference. I learned a lot, of course, and mainly the conclusion was that we need to stop the labelings of Shia, Sunni, and we need to all be really together as human beings. And I don't think that Prophet Muhammad was a Shia or a Sunni. All of these things came and they were created by the people of different sects. So in this case, we all should belong under the umbrella of Islam. And if anybody asks you what sect you are you Shia or Sunni, are you Hanafi or Salafi? So you know what, brother or sister, I'm a Muslim, Alhamdulillah, and that's it. If we all can practice the same concept, I think that we will have much more peace among all the Muslims, not just Shias or Sunnis, but all the Muslims will be together and we'll have more unity. Thank you and have a great day.
It's an honor to be here amongst you and amongst all of the respected scholars. I'm humbled in front of you. There's nothing I can say that is going to be more insightful, I think. But just on behalf of the Council on American Islamic Relations, first off, I just wanted to thank the organizers for putting together such a timely and important event for the Muslim community. Second, I think, both in the past and the present, I think many of us are aware that, people who wish Muslims harm, have often worked to divide our community through sectarian lines. And I think many of us are aware historically through colonialism and other things that one of the most successful ways to weaken any community is to divide and conquer it. And any community that is being divided rapidly depletes its resources and internal conflicts and makes it very easy for somebody who wishes them harm to subjugate them. So we need to be aware of this, and it's interesting, I'm going to go a little off script here, but it just as the sister said, we focus a lot on interfaith affairs, our people of the book, the Christians, and the Rasul and how he reached out and said, these are similarities, and highlighting the similarities and going away from the differences. But just like a family, my own brothers and sisters and people who I'm closest to, the people who are most similar to, the ones who you love the most, who are most likely, those are the ones you're most informal with and the ones you'll have the most bitter fights with and do all these kinds of things, which is silly, right? Because you share more in common with them than you do anything is different. So in the end of the day, as Muslims, when you look at the big picture, we all worship, Allah, we all pray, we give charity to the poor, we believe in, heaven and hell, we respect our parents and our elders, and we try to tell the truth. And in the grand scheme of things, these similarities far outweigh all of the differences and even some of these questions that are showing up here on the board as to how we pray and things like this. So I hope, inshallah, that we'll continue such events, find more ways to work together in regards to care. I hope, as in being part of the CARE leadership, CARE's main responsibility is defending Islam, civil rights, and protecting the community from the irrational fear of Islam. These things aren't Sunni Shia issues. These are the responsibilities of all Muslims. And all of us, I think, are responsible, regardless of our background, to be involved in helping to, support CARE's work and help in shaping the organization, inshallah. So once again, I commend the organizers for organizing this dialogue. And just very, very briefly, I'll just say that, I grew up in Michigan. There's a very large Sunni community, very large Shia community. Many times I was with my friends. And, in those days, there weren't that many Muslims around, when we were younger. The Sunni masjid in Troy, which is one of the largest masjids in Michigan, the architect, his son is my best friend. They're Shia. He designed that Sunni masjid, one of the first masjids in the entire state of Michigan. And when we were in Dearborn, we'd be at a restaurant, we needed to pray. It was much better, we would go into the Shia masjid, Sunni masjid, just wherever you found the place you pray. And we were always welcomed with open arms. And I remember, in the beginning we were nervous. We were like, oh, this is something different than we're used to. Once you go and you realize it's not that much different. And it's just our fear because we're just not comfortable going and seeing. So I agree wholeheartedly with developing friendships. Now, may Allah commend the organizers, may Allah reward you abundantly for what you're doing, and give you much success in this work, and inshallah, it benefit our community, inshallah.
Thank you so very much for those inspiring words. Next, I'd like to invite someone who needs little introduction in our area, Dr. Ahmad Subah, who is the president of the Islamic Shura Council of Southern California. I've had the pleasure of working him on the board, and I found him very, very insightful. Please welcome him with a loud applause.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us under the shade of His throne on the day of judgment the same way He gathered us today, putting our hands together and loving each other and having our hearts together all the time. I really like to thank Mehdi and the team, the panelists, and everyone for implementing the vision of the Islamic Shura of Southern California in uniting the Muslim community. This organization was established 23 years ago by people who believed in the unity of the Muslim community. They were from both sides. Dr. Qazwi's father was one of them. Dr. Muzammil Siddiqui was one of them. And that is the vision and that is the purpose of establishing such an organization, to keep us united, because we all believed in the old story, one stick alone will be broken easily, a bunch of sticks together will never be broken. Those who know me or those who don't know me, they will find out whenever they listen to me talking that I never define myself as a Sunni or a Shia. As a leader of the Muslim community, as a leader of the largest and umbrella organization of the Muslim community in Southern California, I would never go out and say I'm a Shia or I'm a Sunni. I say I'm a Muslim. I say I'm a leader. I represent every single one of my Muslim fellows in Southern California, the 500,000 strong Muslims living in Southern California. But another point you'll find about me, that I'm extremely, extremely optimistic. And I'm extremely positive. And I always like to look at the full half of the cup. I always like to look at the good and beautiful side of the story. Because there are two ways to bring people around you as a leader. Either by fear and scare the heck out of them and tell them if you don't support me, you will be in danger. And that's what we see in many of the political campaigns nowadays. Or with hope and with positivity and with optimism. And I see a beautiful side of our community, at least in Southern California where I live in. Many of the things that we heard today might be slightly scary or negative. I see the other side. I see how this beautiful organization, the conference came to be. I see how we meet on a regular basis and have coffees and dinners together, and we have no problems with each other. I see how a dear brother to my heart, Salam, sitting up there, smiling, working behind the scenes, doing all kind of good work. And I'm proud of him, regardless which masjid he goes to. This beautiful picture did not just start today. It's been going on for 23 years. It's been going on for 30 years, since the Muslims established organizations and community in Southern California. Yes, over the past 3-4 years, some world political situations happened that caused us to maybe have some cold relationships. But we never fought. We never killed each other. We never attacked each other. And that will never happen, inshallah. And that is the beauty of the community. But that happens in every family. Every single family. Sometimes two brothers, they stop talking to each other for a few months. Then after that, they start talking to each other. So let us give ourselves the good credit that we did not cause any irreversible damage to the relationship between the Sunni and the Shia in Southern California. There is no irreversible damage. There is no masjid that was blown. There is no one that got killed. Everything could be going forward from now on, even to the better way, based on the vision that we started many decades ago. And those things that we hear about our community, believe me, other communities had them. I've heard Dr. Liqat said that we Muslims criticize each other and we're willing to sit down with non-Muslims more. I see that in other communities as well. Those who work in the interfaith community, I heard evangelical Christian telling me, I'm willing to sit down with you, but I will never sit down with a Mormon. I heard a Baptist telling me, you are closer to me than the Jehovah's Witness. I've heard Presbyterian tell me, you make more sense to me than other Christians. So this is normal. This is the human nature that we do feel that maybe some sociological expert can explain why this happened, but this is not unique to our community. So we are definitely better than what we think of ourselves. So from a Shura Council of Southern California perspective, what do we do from now on? How do we make this beautiful initiative prosper and radiate, as was said, in the community at large? So I'll leave you with these few tips. Write them down, record them down, and do them. These are things that you can do. You can personally do on your daily lives, inshallah. Number one, Mahdi, there'll be another conference like this next year. Inshallah, each one of you bring one extra guest next year. Someone, especially someone who was resistant to come this year. Tell them, come with me, let me show you the beauty of unity. That's number one. Number two, Sayyid Mustafa Qazwini said, if you go to a masjid that belongs to the other side and you hear the imam saying something, go tell them. But next time you go to your own masjid and your own imam said something not right, you stand up and tell them, you know, Sheikh, let's not say this in our masjid. Let us change the rhetoric. Let us promote love and understanding between each other. That's number two. Number three, all of you have WhatsApp, all of you on Facebook, and I'm sure all of you receive ugly videos about the other side. Don't watch it, and don't forward it. Let it stop right there and then, because all of us get the videos that makes the others look bad. If you have a video of a Shia killing a Sunni, the other have a video of a Sunni killing Shia. Let's not let it go forward. It happens somewhere around the world. Many of them are fake. Many of them are made to make us hate each other. Many of them of imams who are paid, maybe not true imams, to say certain things. Do not let it pass you. Let it die in your phone right there and then. Number four, I don't know what's the word in English. We have a word in Arabic, ihrad. When someone's angry, he bihrad. What's bihrad in English? I don't know. Tihrad. Like you get mad and you isolate yourselves from the community. Do not. If you're upset from the Shura Council, if you're upset from me, doesn't mean you stop attending the meetings. Doesn't mean you stop attending the functions. You still be part of it. You try to change it from within. Do not seclude and isolate yourselves in a small corner or a small cocoon and say, I don't want to interact with the larger community. That's the worst thing you can do. Stay part of the community. Number five, at home, try to fix the mentality of your own family. Try to, as you said, it's okay. If your son comes and says, I want to marry a girl whose parents go to the Shia, what's wrong with that? Change that mentality at home as much as you can. Number six. Yes, we need to build relationship with the interfaith community, but I say something, always said it. You cannot build bridges to the other side when the foundations on your side are weak. Did you hear that? You cannot build bridges to the other side when the foundations on your side are weak. The bridge will collapse. So when you go and spend time with the interfaith community and someone asks you, what's wrong with ISIS? Do not say, oh, those are the Sunnis. I have nothing to do with them. If someone tells you, what's wrong with these guys beating themselves and bleeding in the streets of Baghdad, don't say these are the Shia. I have nothing to do with them. I get this question quite often. I speak about Islam in churches, universities, and then they ask me, how do you know you're not lying? We've heard about taqiyya. The worst thing I can say, oh, this is the Shia community thing. This has nothing to do with me. No, I have to understand, what is taqiyya now? I have to explain it. Not from any side of the story, so I have to explain to people, not to put my fellow brother, Muslim, and throw him under the bus so I can look better. Never do that. Number 8. We have amazing talents in our community on both sides. And we are depriving the other side from the talents on one side. Listening to Dr. Layaqat today, I was like, this is a talent. This is a source of wealth that's not supposed to be kept within the Shia community. Listening to Dr. Najiba today, this is a wealth, should not be kept in the Sunni community. It should be shared with the rest of the community and the rest of the nation. We have so much we can give to the larger society that we can benefit the community with. Let us not restrict our talents. We complete each other. We should not compete with each other. We say it in Arabic, علاقة تكامل وليست تفاضل. We complete each other. We don't compete with each other. Whether we like it or not, we are part of the Muslim Ummah around the world. do not disconnect yourself from the Muslims around the world. Yes, we don't want the politics to affect us, but we still have to keep that beautiful connections, because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said we are like a one body. If my brothers and sisters are in pain in Iraq, I should feel the pain. If they're in pain in Syria, I should feel the pain. But I use my own community here to support them. If we can spend more time and money in building the infrastructures and the unity of the Muslims in America, wallahi, we can benefit the Muslims around the world in a much better way by affecting the foreign policies of our country. So let us take advantage of that. And finally, let us not always put it on the leaders and the imams that they are the bad guys, they are the troublemakers. They are a reflection of ourselves. So let us help them to be the source and the voices of unity that we can always be around and use them for our own benefit and our own interest in our community. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that to make us always united, to make us always together and loving each other. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, I thank each one of the amazing speakers and scholars and the organizers of the event, and each one of you for being here today. So inshallah, this will be the beginning, and the Shura Council in support of all these initiatives. As you've noticed from the moment you reach out, that we will support these kinds of programs and conferences, because we as a community will benefit from it. My kids will benefit from it, your kids will benefit from it, and everyone inshallah will benefit
with each other. Communicating with each other, that's it. And one thing that really we have to avoid, with all the 10 points that you made, if you can make it another one, 11, and that is, let us not misrepresent the other. Let us not misrepresent the other. Even the early community of Ummah, the Sahaba, the Ahlul Bayt, let us not misrepresent them. And let us not say things that what we believe that they had that. They did not have that. They loved each other, they cared for each other. They were not at fight. A lot of propaganda has been about them. That they did this, Abu Bakr did that to Fatima, Umar did that to Fatima, this and that. No, most of this propaganda. They were together, they were brothers, they were sisters, they cared for each other. Even though they had difference of opinion. So why we are getting involved and why we are saying things that they did not do it. And they will be in Jannah together, inshallah. They used to say, ربنا لا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. Lord, do not leave any grudge in our heart against each other. So yes, I would say, rather misrepresenting, let us say, I appreciate about the Shia community that love the family of the Prophet ﷺ. They care for the Ahlul Bayt. MashaAllah. It's good. We should learn that. We should appreciate that about the Shia community. The Shia community would say, I love the Sunni community. They care for the Sahaba, for the companions of the Prophet. They care for them. They speak about the Ummah, the community that was raised by the Prophet ﷺ, the friends of the Prophet ﷺ, the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, the daughters of the Prophet ﷺ. They can say that. We care for him. And we appreciate that. So if we speak this way, we can bring ourselves closer. If you're more comfortable being Shia, be fine. More comfortable being Sunni, be fine. But at the same time, let us learn how to speak from that perspective in which that we can bring each other closer and remove the hate, remove the fight, remove the bloodshed. And most of the bloodshed, unfortunately, is political. Bashar Assad is not fighting for Imamah. And ISIS, even though they say Khilaf and all those things, they misrepresented the Shayateen. That's when I was asked in Istanbul by one of the major paper. They asked me, what do you say about Islamic State? I said, satanic state. It has nothing to do with Islam. They misrepresent Islam. They're abusing Islam. So we should not be misled by that. And a lot of these people are misusing Islam for their own purpose. So Alhamdulillah, we have understanding of Islam, we care for Islam, we should work on that. We should try to how we can bring our community together. My beautiful words have been mentioned here. All of these things should be, we should summarize that, publish a word about the meetings, the great statements came out from here. These are important points, important stuff there.
About it in your own context. What's happened in the last 20 years in one city, in one part of the world, is not the whole history of that community. I think it's very important that we learn our history deeply, because you can't work with others if you don't know where you came from. So that's something very simple. The second, I think, that is really important in our work is to look and begin to explore in far deeper ways the maqasid al-sharia, the higher purposes or objectives. When we get together and do Sunni Shia dialogue, the practical dialogue, we really spend a lot of time focusing on doctrinal differences. But what is the spirit of the law? What is the purpose of the law? What is behind the law? What is the wisdom behind the law? And actually, if Sunni and Shia scholars got together and talked about some of the deep values behind the law, it illuminates the learning that each brings to the table. So I'm not saying don't deal with differences, in fact, deal deeply with them, but understand what is the purpose behind the practice. Why was this allowed and why was that not allowed? Instead of just, we spend a lot of time, we want a laundry list of what I can do and what I can't do, but what is the wisdom behind that? And I think as we get together, we really can explore that more and more. The other thing that I think is really important, two pieces that are major interventions. One of them is, and this is happening, by the way, in the Christian community, we need to spend as much time on intra-faith relationships as we do out there with interfaith. If you know less about, if you're a Sunni and you know less about the Shia community in your geographic area, or vice versa, but you know and you spend all the time with the Christian and Jewish community, that means you really don't know your own community. Does everyone hear what I'm saying? There's so much focus on interfaith activity, which is so important. I teach interreligious studies, but I really think we need to spend some time making intentional, relational programs with each other. I know this sounds strange, but it's really needed. Until I had Shia students, there were things that I did not realize. I thought that, practices were all done this way, and now I have Shia students in the audience who are now leading organizations, and I had to listen and learn. So I'm coughing, I'm sorry. So I think intra, meaning between our communities, these kinds of activities, but don't have them always be doctrinal. I would have loved to see us have conversations in the audience with each other, inshallah. So make sure you leave this place with relationships with one another. Because research shows that if you know someone, one person from another community, it takes away your stereotypes of that community. You could read 100 books about the Shia or Sunni community, but if you don't actually spend time with each other, your stereotypes will remain. So make it relational. The other is that we are under so much pressure as a Muslim community. We need to begin to think about institutional building with one another. So not just issues, every issue is a Muslim issue. The local issue around poverty is a Muslim issue. Whether you're a Muslim who is impoverished or not. Why are we not spending more time building together anti-racism programs, building together programs that feed the hungry? That to me is part of our Muslim tradition and something that we could do practically. Last of all is we need to do more intra-faith education. So Bayan, I'm a professor at Claremont School of Theology. I'm the only Muslim professor on the Christian faculty. But actually having Sunnis and Shias together in the classroom is a profound intervention, because what we learn, it makes also the classroom very lively, by the way. Because someone will come and say, well, all Muslims believe this. So the Muslim student has to unlearn their own assumption that all Muslims agree on the issue. And that comes from both communities. So I think it's really important for us to be in co-educational environments, and not just from sophisticated graduate education, but also younger children as well. So I just wanted to encourage everyone to stop thinking about dialogue as us behind the table speaking to you, and think about making dialogue between one another. I think it's very important. So, inshallah, those points are somewhat practical, and I hope that they're helpful.
Promoting intra-faith relationship is to foster friendships among the people. Visit each other. The month of Ramadan is coming soon. Invite your Sunni and Shia friends and non-Muslim friends to your homes to break the iftar together, to speak about each other, children, families, challenges, shoppings, whatever. This will increase. See, this seminar today, it took a lot of hard work, a lot of courage. It was not possible in the past, but now it is possible. Why? Because people who organized this, in collaboration with Shura Council and CARE and MPAC and Bayan, they fostered true and genuine friendship. They became friends. They trusted each other. They worked together. This is why, when they formed the trust, so they knew that this is a good project. All will benefit. Islam will benefit from that. Our community will benefit. This is not about exploitation and manipulation and propagation. No. It's about awareness, understanding, respect. But it took them a while to get to know each other and to work together. But once they trusted each other, all these barriers of division and segregation, they fell apart. So this is what we have to do, friendship. And one of the ways, believe me, and take me serious, I'm not, kidding on this. Try to promote intra-faith marriages between your children. I know some mothers, they come to me as an imam. Oh, my son, he fell in love with someone who's Sunni, and I'm having a nightmare. And or my daughter, why a nightmare? Maybe in Saudi Arabia it's a nightmare, yes. Yeah. With Taliban it's a nightmare. But we are in America. They are educated, they go to school. Many of them, they sit here at UC Irvine next to each other, they study together, they like each other, they respect each other. So if they are open with each other, you don't have to fear. I've seen sometimes one of the best marriages that took place was this intra-faith marriages. And we've seen this in Iraq and Pakistan. So the Sunni starts to respect the Shia, and the Shia starts. Why? Because now they know each other very close. Not just in public, not just formally. They know each other informally, privately too. So they have no fear. We have to encourage these things, my brothers. This is the way forward. Believe me. This is the way forward. It's not easy. Also, visiting each other's mosques. You know what breaks my heart sometimes? I'm being very candid and open with you. When I'm giving the Friday sermon, and some Sunni friends, they come, and they are about to sit, and they look at me, they look at my turban, they look at Allah, Muhammad, Ali, Fatima, and we have many imams, we fill the mihrab with names. They stand and they leave. It breaks my heart. Why do you leave? Sit and listen. And if you don't like what I'm saying, then leave. We have to remove this. And I'm not targeting a specific group, no. I say this to the Shia too. Go to the Sunnis. Go to their Friday prayers. Go participate. Listen. And if you think the Imam is saying something not good, not in the favor of Islam, go and notify him and tell him. Tell him, listen, your audience is mixed. You are not preaching in a village anymore. This is an open society. You have to be more vigilant, as Dr. Saeed said, more vigilant and more sensitive and more careful of what you preach. So let's exchange these visits, home visits, mosques visits, intermarriages, so we can solve the problem, inshallah.
Sure, and that's what I intend to do. Respected panelists, our moderators, our volunteers, and you, our audience, thank you. Thank you for joining us today in this conversation. Inshallah, it is the beginning of many more to come. An opportunity to build understanding and brotherhood. There is a value in learning and using the the knowledge to benefit ourselves and others. Dr. Najiba, you told us about the healing justice, examples of the Holy Prophet. Dr. Taqim, what resonated with me is unity does not mean uniformity. Dr. Saeed, my takeaway among so many, our struggles will take mutual vigilance. And my mentor, Dr. Sayyid Mustafa Al-Qazwini, think for ourselves, no funding from foreign governments who can influence how we think. I pray that the Pledge of Allegiance will stand to make the change at individual level, and I need all of us here today to consider the 10 two-letter words. If it is to be, it is to be up to me. And be counted in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as willing people of change. So on that note, please join me in this short dua from the Holy Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi zidni ilman. O my Lord, increase my knowledge. Knowledge which will benefit me and community at large. Inshallah, we walk away with that in our hearts. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.